Today from r/JustNoMother-in-law. I have forbidden my mother-in-law from ever seeing my children again. My children, male 5, female 4, are biracial. I'm brown and my husband is blonde. My children are brown like me. I'm also 14 weeks pregnant. My husband's brother and his wife are both blonde, and their 2 boys are very blonde. Before the children were in the picture, I always thought mother-in-law was decent and civil enough to be around. That changed, however, when the children were born. I started noticing very early on that she treated my children differently and was more attached to their cousins. She would say how the cousins reminded her of her sons, and how they looked a lot like my husband and his brother. I felt uncomfortable by her remarks, but the real issues started when my children were old enough to notice the different treatment of them. In holidays and birthday parties, my children would get a fraction of the gifts their cousins did, and last Christmas was painful to live through, watching my little boy so distraught and confused when his cousins had received a pile of gifts, while he and his sister only received 1 gift each. I thought I had something to do about this. I suspected it had racial motives, but I didn't talk about these concerns with anyone but my husband, who wasn't really sure if that was the case. I simply stated, however, that I didn't want my children to be exposed to this kind of treatment, no matter why, and therefore I had decided my mother-in-law should see my children on their own whenever she's interested, but not in the company of their cousins. We loved the cousins very much, and I didn't want my children to resent them for something they didn't cause. Mother-in-law tried to explain that this was only because we lived further away, 2 hours, while the cousins lived just a few houses down. She knew them better, etc. I didn't buy this and insisted on the solution. When one of the cousins had his birthday, we celebrated him a day before. My daughter turned 4 a week ago, and we had her party last Saturday. I had planned for mother-in-law to celebrate my daughter the day before on Friday, but she didn't show up. She had made an excuse about her not being able to drive, so she needed to ride with my brother-in-law and his family. My heart sank, but I didn't want to create tension, so I let it pass. When it came time to open presents, mother-in-law took out 2 presents and gave 1 to each nephew. She then called my daughter to her and showed her a picture on her phone of a wooden car and told her that her present didn't arrive in time and she would send it forward as fast as she got it. The cousins opened their presents and got toys. My son got nothing. He was so heartbroken that he just wouldn't leave my embrace the rest of the evening. My heart was swollen in my throat after what she did. It has always been a thing of her to do. When it's one of my children's birthday, she would get presents to all 4 children, but if it's one of the cousins, she would only get presents for the cousins. Thank God my daughter didn't understand much, and she just ignored mother-in-law and continued opening the rest of her presents. But I have had it with my mother-in-law. I told my husband that she is under no condition allowed to see my children again. I'm done, and I don't want her in our life until the children are old enough to decide for themselves. My husband thought I wasn't serious at first, and then he thought I was unreasonable. He probably doesn't realize yet how serious I am about this. Whatever her reasons are for treating my babies this way, I don't care. I texted her my decision the morning after, and she's been calling and texting my husband nonstop since. She's asking to meet to fix her mistake, but the ship has sailed long time ago. I'm done.